You've probably already felt it. A dream that showed you something before it happened. A quiet knowing that arrived a moment before the phone rang, before the news came, before the thing unfolded exactly the way some part of you already sensed it would. Most of us file those moments under coincidence and move on. That's the safe move. This module asks whether that's the honest one. Welcome to Module 6, and today we are going to do something that I think is genuinely rare in the world of consciousness education. We are going to look at the future, not with wishful thinking, not with blind skepticism, but with the same rigor we have been building throughout this entire course. The question on the table is this: can consciousness reach forward in time? It sounds like science fiction. The evidence is not. Let me start with something that surprises most people. This is not a fringe question being pursued by credulous believers. It is a question that has been studied in peer-reviewed laboratories by university researchers across multiple decades, and what they found is more difficult to dismiss than most people assume. In 2011, Cornell psychologist Daryl Bem published a landmark study in one of the most respected journals in academic psychology. He took standard, well-validated experimental paradigms and simply reversed the time order, exposing subjects to a response condition first, then randomly presenting the stimulus afterward. What he found was that the response systematically anticipated the stimulus. Across 9 experiments with over 1,000 subjects, the effect exceeded chance at statistically significant levels. An overall effect size of 0.22, comparable to what psychology considers clinically meaningful in standard research. 1 year later, researchers Mossbridge, Tresoldi, and Utz published a meta-analysis covering 26 studies from 7 independent laboratories, spanning more than 3 decades. They weren't measuring subjective impressions. They were measuring the body, skin conductance, heart rate, pupil dilation, brain activation. What they found: the body responds to an emotionally significant future event before that event is selected or presented. The odds against those results occurring by chance? 10 to the 14th power, that is 10,000 trillion to 1. Dean Radin at the Institute of Noetic Sciences has been replicating this work for 3 decades. 7 independent laboratories across multiple continents have found the same pattern. The effect is small, it is consistent, and it does not go away when you tighten the methodology. The debate in the scientific community is not whether the effect exists. The debate is about what it means. Here is where it gets genuinely fascinating and a little humbling. The fundamental equations of physics, Newton's laws, Maxwell's equations, quantum mechanics, general relativity, are all time-symmetric. They work equally well whether you run time forward or backward. The one-way flow of time that you and I experience every day does not appear in the fundamental equations. It emerges at the level of thermodynamics from the statistical behavior of very large numbers of particles. This is not a fringe position. This is in every graduate physics textbook. And what it means is this: there is no fundamental physical law that prohibits information from traveling backward in time. The prohibition, if it exists, is statistical and thermodynamic, not fundamental. Einstein's special relativity gave us the block universe. The idea that all moments in time, past, present, and future, exist simultaneously in a 4-dimensional structure. Physicist John Cramer's transactional interpretation of quantum mechanics proposes that quantum events involve a handshake between a wave traveling forward in time and one traveling backward. Yakir Aharonov's two-state vector formalism argues that a complete quantum description of any system requires boundary conditions from both past and future. These are not metaphors. These are working physical frameworks developed by credentialed physicists in peer-reviewed literature. Carlo Rovelli, one of the most respected theoretical physicists alive today, puts it this way: at the most fundamental level of physics, time does not flow. It does not have a preferred direction. Past, present, and future are things that emerge at our scale, from our nature as thermodynamic creatures. They are not written into the deep structure of reality. If that's true, the future is not more inaccessible than the past. It is simply the direction we haven't looked in yet. Now I want to address the question I know is sitting with you right now, because it always comes up, and honestly, it should. If you can see the future, is it already fixed? And if it's fixed, what does that do to your choices, your growth, your whole reason for doing this work? Here is my honest answer. Foreseeing is not the same as determining. These are 2 separate claims that almost always get collapsed into each other, and the collapse does real damage. A weather forecaster can predict tomorrow's rain with high confidence. That prediction does not cause the rain. It does not fix the rain. It reflects real structure in a system that has not yet fully resolved itself. Precognition, on the evidence, looks much more like a sophisticated forecast than like reading a fixed script. The evidence for precognitive phenomena is better described by what I call a probability sampling model. Consciousness can access the shape of what's likely given current conditions. But the conditions are not locked. You are not a passive observer of a predetermined future. You are a participant in the atmosphere. The most sophisticated precognitive traditions in human history, from the oracle at Delphi to the aboriginal dreamtime to Andean cosmology, have always understood this. The Hopi do not treat foreknowledge as evidence of a determined future. They treat it as an invitation to navigate more wisely within a field of genuine possibility. That older, more nuanced picture may be closer to physics than we ever realized. So here is where we land. We are not going to tell you the future is written. We are not going to ask you to accept precognition on faith. What we are going to do, what this module is built to do, is give you the tools to investigate this question for yourself. In the course materials for Module 6, you'll find structured practices, a precognitive dream journaling protocol, a presentiment self-experiment you can conduct at home, and what I call the tomorrow's newspaper exercise. These are not party tricks. They are instruments of investigation. They are designed to help you develop what I'd call quality of knowing. The ability to distinguish a genuine precognitive impression from ordinary fantasy and wishful thinking. That is a trainable skill. Researchers like Daryl Bem, former director of the Defense Intelligence Agency's remote viewing program, have demonstrated that clearly. And more to the point, it is a skill that belongs in the toolkit of anyone doing serious consciousness work. Here's what I want to leave you with. The ancient traditions that have maintained contemplative and shamanic practice for thousands of years have, with remarkable consistency, arrived at non-linear models of time. They have treated access to what we call the future not as miraculous, but as the natural capacity of a consciousness that hasn't been artificially restricted to a single moment. Maybe they were onto something that our equations are only now beginning to confirm. Bring your skepticism into the practices. Bring your curiosity. And bring the part of you that remembers the dream that came true and has never quite known what to do with it. That part of you is already asking the right question. I'll see you in the module materials. Let's do this work carefully and honestly together.